Okay, episode 2, I guess. Are we doing episodes? Today I'm going to talk to you about market research, market fit sort of idea. In the last episode, I spoke briefly about how I landed on garage doors, but I didn't really give you much context of like how I actually made that decision. I just said I chose garage doors and expected you to sort of fill in the gaps. Since I've told a few people about this, a few friends who know me have reached out to me and said, WTF, basically, like garage doors, that's not your background at all. You are a negotiations trainer, you've built marketing businesses. Like, why garage doors? How did you land on garage doors? And so I walked them through a bit of background as to how I actually did that. And now I'm going to do it for you because you're probably wondering the same thing. Like, if you were going to start a business, how would you decide on what business to start or to buy or whatever? And so I'll walk you through the decision making criteria that I went through, how I narrowed things down to the business that I was going to choose, which ultimately became Garage Doors, what my rationale was, and that should help you, I hope, figure out maybe something that you want to do in the process. And so now you get to see sort of how I made that decision. And I did say I was going to walk you through as many steps as I could. So hopefully this will help you. I've got my notes in front of me. So if I look up and away, it's not because I'm not trying to pay attention to you. It's because my computer's over here and my notes are over here and you're over here. And I'm doing this on my cell phone because I don't know what I'm doing. So we're figuring this out as we go. Just by way of reference, my name is Mark. I decided to start a garage door business, knowing nothing about that business. And so this is my journey, and you're sort of along for the ride. Okay, so why garage doors? Out of all the businesses that could be chosen, out of all the things that could be done, why did I decide to choose garage doors? How did I land on that overall? It wasn't random. We're going to go down a bit of a rabbit hole to show you through that process, but basically here's the process. My first concern was around AI and disruption. Um, I, my background is all in white collar work, right? So all office type jobs. I've started a couple of businesses in office settings, and I can see the writing on the wall with AI. It doesn't take an expert or sort of some clairvoyance to figure out that any office work is going to be majorly impacted by AI. So I saw the writing on the wall for my primary business, which is Negotiations Ninja, which is doing well. Like, it's a great business, and I love that business. But at the end of the day, I believe, all white collar work is going to be affected. So that led me to the idea of like, okay, well, what's not immediately going to be affected by AI? And that gave me a whole list of potential businesses that I could start. So primarily things that are either product related, so physical products, or physical services that cannot yet be done by a robot or by AI. I'm not a product guy. So that immediately ruled out products because I don't know anything about how to build a product, but I've built service-based businesses before. So I thought, hey, okay, not a product, but let's figure out and see if I can do a service. And that led me to trades-based businesses. So think about HVAC, plumbing, electrical, those kinds of things. I don't have a trades background. I'm not a trades guy. A lot of my family are in trades and have been very successful in, building careers in trades, which is fortunate. But I have no background and really no mechanical aptitude whatsoever. So I decided to look at trades and then realized very quickly that within trades, it's so broad and so big. I've got to narrow it down to something that I could more easily get into. So that immediately ruled out anything that required a ton of technical knowledge. So electrical, plumbing, metalworking, welding, boiler makers, all those kinds of mechanical trades and electrical trades were immediately out of the question for me because I didn't want the barrier to entry to be extensive education because I just don't have the time to screw around getting extensive education on it. And I'm starting from scratch. So it needs to be something that's easily scalable and easier to get into. And so that led me to home services. And within home services, the offering is enormous, right? Because it's primarily labor-based jobs that are not immediately going to be affected by AI. Things like window washing, gutter installation, roofing, siding, windows, cleaning, chimney sweep, garage doors, installation of garage door or garage storage, like all of those, anything that you can think about that comes in and around the home that there's a service offering for, that's what was narrowed down to on that next list. So I went from that broad mechanical trade labor sort of idea, narrowed it down to home services. And then within that home services, I had to think about, okay, out of this list of home services, what is a vitamin and what is a painkiller? What do I mean? What's the difference between a vitamin and a painkiller? I can't remember who came up with the term vitamin versus painkiller, but it's a very useful term. Credit to that person, whoever that person was that came. It's not my term. So vitamin versus painkiller. Vitamin is something that you would sell to get someone to go get healthier, right? So going to the gym would get you healthier. Eating healthy food would get you healthier. Taking vitamins would get you healthier. But what we're trying to figure out when I'm going through this thing is, okay, I don't really want to sell that because that's not an immediate need and that's sort of luxury for a lot of people. For example, let's say home cleaning or window washing or something like that. That's a luxury item that I would do if I had additional discretionary income. It's not an emergency to get my window cleaned. It's not an emergency to get my house cleaned by someone else. There's no real emergency when that happens. However, out of that list of home services, there are a few things that are an emergency. Like when that thing happens, we kind of got to get it fixed that day or very, very quickly because it presents a risk to us. So drain cleaning is one of those things, and garage doors is one of those things, and there's a few others. So I sort of narrowed it down to drain cleaning and garage doors, right? When the drain gets plugged and I can't unplug it, I got to get someone in to unplug it right away. Or when the garage door is broken and I can't fix it, I got to get someone to come in and fix it right away. Drain cleaning because you need to have it operational. You don't want anything overflowing. You need to be able to use your drains. And garage doors because it's a security concern. It's the safety of your family. It's the safety of your property. It's the biggest entrance to your house. And so I narrowed it down to those two. And then ultimately I decided on garage doors because safety is a huge concern, right? And I want something to feel like it's an emergency to get that person fixed. Why? Because that sort of indicates demand for that overall thing. So that was sort of my short list. I had drain cleaning and I had garage doors as the thing. And then I started doing market research on both. And I was really already leaning towards garage doors just because of the safety aspect of it. And it felt like an easier way to sell that service overall because drain cleaning is, I don't know, it just feels less of an emergency to me because safety is the primary concern. So narrowed it down, started doing some market research on drain cleaning versus garage doors, found out that garage doors is actually a super profitable business and it's really fragmented market. So I'm going to go to my notes here. The demand is really, really strong, right? There's lots of garages. Everyone with a single family home, generally speaking, has a garage, or at least if it's detached, has a garage, or most people have a garage. Lots of garages in the city. Great. So there's a market. Those garage doors break from a number of different factors, whether it's springs or cables or whatever it might be that snaps or breaks or hasn't been maintained and needs to be fixed. Why does it need to be fixed? Safety, need to get the car out to do the chores and the errands for the day, need to be able to go to work. All of those things are reasons why you want to get your garage door fixed. So there's a bit of an emergency component there, and there's a bit of a already established need with that, and it's kind of got to get done right away. So we have demand, we have it as an emergency demand, and we have a situation where like people want to get it fixed right away. It's also scalable. So when you look at the business, when I looked at the business, I wanted to go into a business that could be scaled. I have no interest in running a small business, right? So this isn't my attempt to go become a garage door technician. I don't want to be a garage door technician. I want to hire great garage door technicians and then scale the business and provide great employment for those people and give them a career path. So I want something that can be scaled, that is scalable. And when you look at the model, when I looked at the model of the business, I realized very quickly, this is a scalable model. There's maybe 10 things that can go wrong with a garage door, which means that there's limited issues, and there's additional services and products that can be sold on top of that, which is awesome. So I now have a limited things of things that can go wrong, which means that we can build processes and procedures for those things and playbooks for those things, and we can more easily bill for those things because they can be bundled in packages, so to speak, right? So if we have a spring replacement, we know that that thing is going to fail at some point in time. We know how to do that thing. It's an easy fix. Whereas if you're a plumber, you've kind of got to go and diagnose the issue at a deeper level. There could be a bunch of things wrong. It's not always the first thing that the homeowner says is wrong. It might be something else that's causing that issue. So it's a lot of diagnosis. Whereas for this, it's more systematizable, easier to package, and easier to sell and easier to scale. If you can do that with something, now you've got something that is sellable as a product, with like you're productizing your service essentially. So my goal was to try and figure out, okay, there is a service offering, there's service offerings here. How do I now productize that service offering so that I can make it easier for the salespeople or the techs, whoever's going to do the work, to sell the service and ultimately sell and scale more. And you've got vans, which are, I mean, it's capital intensive, but you can scale vans. You've got people, you can scale people, just hire more techs. Hiring is going to be an issue, especially in Calgary, because finding really good labor is really, really hard. So I'm sure I'm going to have issues with that, but I think we can manage it. And it's also an underserved market. Like it's not, that was also one of the attractive features of garage doors. It's very underserved. There's a lot of people doing it. So let me back up. What do I mean by underserved? There's lack of service. There's a lot of great technicians out there that are doing phenomenal jobs, that are like one-person, two-person shops, that are doing great work. But when it comes to service and value-added benefits and all of those things that you need to scale a business, to separate yourself from the competition, there's not a lot of that there. So in terms of the market is getting served with garage door technicians who are repairing springs, baseline. But they are getting underserved when it comes to those additional value-added benefits that will help the homeowner. And so I had to say, okay, well, it's underserved. Primarily because it's techs who are running their own businesses. So they are really good at what they do in terms of repairing the garage doors or anything like that, but they may not necessarily be good in recognizing opportunities to provide more value to the homeowner. So I think there's an opportunity there for me. So that's sort of why I landed on garage doors. And I just sort of had a gut feel about it between drain cleaning versus garage doors, I felt more of a natural pull towards garage doors. So went through that analysis, and then I knew that I could apply my business background and sort of marketing thinking around that to that business to be able to establish a better way to provide that service. So that's kind of how I went through the process of elimination to find the thing that I was going to build a business on. That is going to be different for everyone. So you're going to have to start with an original thesis of like, okay, well, why am I doing this in the first place? What is the opportunity that I see, or what is the risk that I see? And then you're going to have to test that by just running a bunch of ideas against it to see if like, okay, is this thesis correct? Am I seeing this in other places? For me, it was AI, right? Of like, well, there's a risk here to my industry and to my my type of work. And so I need to be able to diversify income streams so that I have readily available income if and when anything with AI happens. And then I thought, okay, in order for me to test this, is this happening to other places? I tested that. I saw that it was happening to other businesses. It hadn't happened to mine, but I saw that it was happening to other businesses. And so I thought, okay, it's happening to other businesses. I am seeing this in the market. Now, what am I going to do to address that risk? I'm an entrepreneur, so I figure I'm going to start another business. And then I went through the process of elimination to find the business that I like. So if you're going through that process or a similar process, that might be helpful for you. That's the process that I went through. I'm not prescribing anything to anyone. I'm just sort of telling you how I did it. You could have a different way of doing it. I'm sure there's a number of different ways about how you would make a decision to do the thing that you eventually want to do. But for me, it was just a process of elimination and just testing to see how it worked. And now I've done a bunch of subsequent research since I landed on garage doors to be able to establish, okay, who are all the players in the market? How big are those companies? Who's dominating the marketplace? Who has the best marketing? Who has the best reviews? All of those kinds of things. So I've done an analysis on that. And now I'm going to move to the next stage, which is all about figuring out cost models, figuring out gross margin, figuring out how to scale it, figuring out additional value-added benefits to be able to offer. All of those things will come after basically this step. But I wanted to film this episode because I got a lot of people asking me, like, how in the world you don't know anything about anything mechanical? And that's true. I know nothing about mechanical things. And so a lot of people were wondering, like, how did you even land on garage doors? That's how I landed on garage doors. Next episode that I film is I'm going to tell you about a goal that I set for the business, which is a very, very, very aggressive goal. And I want to be able to turn this business into $1 million business within the first 6 months of operation. So we're going to launch in January of 2026. And within that first 6 months of operation, it needs to be doing $1 million in revenue by the end of June. That's the goal. It's an aggressive goal, but I think it's actually achievable because I'm giving myself some time to build the marketing engine around this. So if you're watching this now, it's beginning of September, and I've got enough time to be able to build a marketing engine around this so that by the time I launch, I think I can do it. So I'll tell you how I do that, and we'll probably get into more episodes that are deeper, but see you in the next episode.